what to say. You guys are in a real pickle. Because what the president just did is completely countervailing to what apparently the Senate did yesterday when they passed H.R. 8337. And I don't really know what to say because, again, you guys allowed for a federal budget process to be specifically coded to an ongoing pattern of racketeering activity that hasn't been forestalled. B, to basically have an official benchmark put on acts of electronic sexual abuse involving children, in this case, foreign children, by the way, that are from an area that was formerly colonized by the United States, and that also has a very sizable representation of descendants involved in the healthcare sector in the United States, while the specific pattern of racketeering activity to which I'm referring is intentionally and deliberately coded to a specific individual who was a medical doctor of that nation's descent. As a matter of fact, specific metrics with specific correlations are literally tailored to that individual as part of a specific element of the racket that is not exclusively but primarily located in Houston, Texas. And not only that, but what the president did with his executive order from yesterday, thus far, is in a pattern of implementation of executive orders that are completely unconstitutional and completely contrary to the legitimate federal budgeting process, but have thus far not been forestalled by any senatorial or congressional action, while the Department of Justice has completely refused to take responsibility for not only the possibility it has, but the duty it has to do something about this. And now you're yourself in a crosshairs. You've put the entire country in a crosshairs between this upsmanship that isn't going to be addressed when you refuse to acknowledge and take responsibility for where your mandate comes from, which is the people of the United States. How disingenuous it is, if this is correct, that the United States Senate approved the Continuing Appropriations Act 2021 and Other Extensions Act on the same day that the House was allowed to release a report allegedly about China and the Chinese threat, another instance of accusations regarding Chinese hacking without the United States taking responsibility for its failures to hold itself accountable. I'm just letting you know that it's like these trying to cover your ass moments are just leading us further and further and further down a completely unsustainable process. And what I saw today, specifically, for whatever reason, the text of the bill is not available on the site. But in addition, the bill extends several authorities and programs, including surface transportation programs. You mean like what I just saw? That's absolutely 100% an act of securities fraud. That's like a comprehensive act of securities fraud on what might be the last day of last fiscal year, but is also the 3-year anniversary on an executive order that represented not only executive overreach of the former president, but I understand was part of providing a bridge to what is turned to be a concurrent shadow government process whereby bioterrorists taking their authority under the previous president in conjunction with unconstitutional actions under that administration are competing in a macabre kind of upsmanship with people engaged in unconstitutional actions under the current administration. And these continuing efforts to obligate the people of the United States to pay for your continuing criminal operations is not acceptable. I am letting you know right now, Mr. Wall, I am refiling my petition with the Supreme Court of the United States, despite the fact that the credibility of the judicial branch of government has been completely called into question right now, based upon the fact that the Senate passed a bill with unanimous consent and without taking a roll call vote concerning making mineral rights of Americans available for auction in January of 2020, prior to the announcement of the COVID 19 pandemic, and that has been strategically engaged as part of this volleying with no reprieve, up to and including a permissibility of the President of the United States to implement an executive order specifically in regards to that very element, and also to again allow for a misappropriation of contributions of constitutionally abiding citizens of the United States that have been allowed to be subjected to reprisal and theft and other crimes by corrupt politicians that refuse to uphold their duty. I'm sorry, every other possibility we've had ends up getting quashed because you just won't acknowledge. You won't acknowledge. And there's absolutely no way I'm going to abide the Appalachian Regional Commission and whatever else you thought you were going to continue appropriating while the president is compiling all of the nice assessments and appraisals he needs to turn us into Afghanistan in 2001. Because that's exactly what this is. And you know it. And you've failed to act, and you've lost your authority.